Alright, the purpose of this video today is to demonstrate the various mods I have downloaded on the PlayStation 5 version of Fallout 4. This is from my other work buddy, John, per his request. Actually, I believe his specific request was, what was the clutter mod you used? But leave it to me to say, hey, you know what? While you're here, let me show you the whole place. Alright, let's get started. I have a lot of mods here, so I'm not going to have time to really do a deep dive on all of them. Just a brief overview at a pretty breakneck speed. All right, let's get started. Unofficial Fallout 4 patch. This patches everything that the main patches didn't patch. Very comprehensive, absolutely necessary. A lot of bug fixes, must have. This is the Creation Club Modular Military Backpack add-on. The Modular Military Backpack is something you can buy in Creation Club. It's a backpack that allows you to carry more. I think it has to be purchased for $5. Whether or not you deem that worth buying is entirely up to you. I like backpacks. This add-on allows you to craft it instead of it just being added to your inventory. The cheat room is exactly what it says on the tin. It's a cheat room. It usually has every item in the game. I use this in case I lose an item, or if I want to outfit my settlers. Generally, that's pretty much it. Settlement Electricity Overhaul is an alternative to using wires and conduits to power your settlement. Rather than doing that, you can place a wireless fuse box that will generate 999 whatever units of power to the entire settlement, and that way you can use objects that require power without wires being directly connected to them. Pretty convenient. This adds 2 chairs to your settlement menu, a custom barber and surgery, useful if you want to adjust your appearance on the fly. This removes the blur that's in the, I guess, the draw distance further out on the views. I think that the blur kind of takes away from the beauty of the visuals. So yeah, get rid of that if you want. This is better graphics and weather. There are a multitude of various weather mods on the Fallout 4 PS5 workshop. This is the one I particularly like because it not only does it increase draw distance, but it adds intense radiation storms. They can last for sometimes days. Fog, I think that was shown in my previous mod of the settlement showcase when I was in Sunshine Tidings. And it also adds darker nights. You'll be cloaked in a very thick black darkness, and it makes it more of an intimidating exploration process. You might find yourself saying, maybe I should sleep the night away and wait till daybreak before I go off venturing off into the unknown. This is improved lighting ballistics. This mod just improves the ballistics, the lighting around, well, exactly what it says. Bullets, lasers, gauss, plasma missiles, flares. When you use this in conjunction with darker nights, it's quite a spectacle. You could see firefights off in the distance, and they illuminate everything in the wasteland. This is a water mod that changes, I believe, just the textures and the shaders. I think it just makes it to where not all water looks the same. You'll see still waters will look still. Some waters will look clear, some will look dirty. This removes the music from combat encounters. The combat music, while alright, gets repetitive after a while, and sometimes silence, I feel, complements the more intense nature of the encounters. Speaking of music, Reverb and Ambience overhauls primarily reverb. Gunshots echo much further off into the distance. Noises in general are affected differently in indoor and outdoor areas, really just depending on where you're at. And it's pretty extensive. Although it's only 423 kilobytes, it feels like it should be larger. And you can see on the right here various things that it does. This changes the Pip-Boy. Instead of illuminating you with a circular grid of light, it's more of a cone shape, which I like to use, especially with the Darker Nights mod, or the weather mod that makes nights darker, so you can see further out into the distance. And all this does is it give you a longer headlamp for this Pip-Boy flashlight. I believe all it does is take the asset from the power armor headlamp and just repurposes it to your Pip-Boy. This is an insignificant object remover. Just consider this an FPS booster. This just allows your performance to work a little bit better by removing things that you don't see but are still taking up space. This is a gameplay. These two really are gameplay overhauls. This is probably something optional. It's not visual, but it is more of a difficulty rework. On the right here, you can pause the video to read it, to see if it's your thing. And this is a hardcore patch So it takes what was already pretty difficult, Overhaul, and then adds even more restrictions. Right here on the right, you can see what it implements. I will say that while it may look like it's a little too much, I think it's perfect. And once you get acclimated, you won't, if you like difficulty in these types of games, I think you'll come to really enjoy it. This is a DLC leveled list fixed. There's a lot of new items and weapons that are implemented in the DLC, but they aren't in the main game. So this makes it to where raiders, chests will show weapons and items that are unlocked with the DLC so that you don't have to be limited to going to those environments. Useful technical documents is really interesting. If you have ever gotten a legendary item, it will have a various effect. Usually when you kill a legendary enemy, they'll drop a gun or armor that has a special legendary effect. What this does is it allows you to break it down into technical documents, which is something that you need to find for the Brotherhood of Steel anyway, so it repurposes it and gives them a secondary purpose. But not only that, but it allows you to move and transfer legendary effects. So if you pick up, say, a gun that has a legendary effect, but you're not a fan of the gun and you want to put it on a different firearm, this allows you to do that. And it uses the technical documents so that it's not just a freebie. Pretty cool stuff. This is a patch so that this useful technical documents works in conjunction with the Lunar Fallout Overhaul. So they work better together. This stops settlement attacks. This doesn't work, so I need to delete it. This is search and destroy. This basically affects two things: the length that enemies will look for you, and doubles the radius in which they can detect you. So that enemies, if you know, you can run away from them, and after a good amount of distance, they'll forget you ever existed. And this kind of works around it to where they don't give up quite as easily. Although this does mean that, generally speaking, when you're in the wasteland, you're always in a state of caution. So whether or not you find that thing valuable is up to you. This is a simple attack and death reaction mod. It just basically makes it to where enemies react to in different varying ways when they're shot in specific regions. I believe they'll grimace and maybe even grab the region that they're injured in. This is an immersive Fallout movement mod where it basically just affects your movement speed. All humans move a degree slower. It's not as arcadey where you can whip around like crazy. But it also, I believe, makes enemies like Deathclaws and even dogs move a little bit faster. So placement around the map is something you'll be thinking of more often. Realistic Gore and Dismemberment works really good in conjunction with the simple attack and the death reaction. Basically, what it says on the tin: Realistic Gore and Dismemberment. Enemies can lose limbs and not die. You will find people wounded in action, wandering the wasteland without arms or legs, and it's pretty fascinating. Basic Companion Helper is basically just a little companions tool. It allows you to do things like, for example, if you lose track of Dogmeat or Preston or Dance and you want to find them, you can summon them to you. And it does a lot of other things. Here on the right, I'll just scroll through it. Pause if you like. Buff Minutemen Militia makes it to where the Minutemen that wander the wasteland are buffed. They have better armor, they have better weaponry, they have better resources. Because I believe the basic vanilla Minutemen are quite weak and they're always wearing shoddy armor. And you'd think that, hey, if you've been improving the Minutemen over the course of the game, wouldn't they have better equipment? Settlement attacks spawn outside, exactly what it says. See-through scopes adds a few more holographic sights. I believe these actually create a zoom effect. Pretty cool. And I believe it even adds the reticle to weapons that couldn't previously have any type of red dot or holographic sight. This allows you to save in survival mode. While I do like difficulty and I like having restrictions, unfortunately, Bethesda games are known, more infamous, to crash involuntarily, and especially when you add mods. So having the ability to quick save is absolutely essential. First-person animation tweaks does a few different first-person animation overhauls. I think primarily the one I like is that it'll make your gun sit at ease. You may notice that your gun stance can occasionally move to where it's like resting instead of pointing, and I just like that sort of thing. I feel like if you're in a town and you're talking to people, your firearm shouldn't be pointing right at them. It should be resting, especially if the third-person character model shows it resting. Companion Infinite Ammo does exactly what it says. While I do like difficulty, the companions are just reckless when it comes to ammunition. They have no type of preservation AI, so I got tired of running out of ammunition. This is Stronger Dog Meat.